The whispers in the great hall sharpen into murmurs of unease as students glance between the shattered chandelier, the green-flamed candles, and you, still with the serpentine locket coiled in your palm like a sleeping viper. At the staff table, Professor Slughorn nervously sips his wine while Dumbledore's half-moon spectacles glint with unspoken scrutiny. Tom Riddle's voice slithers from the shadows near the Slytherin dungeons, audible only to you, a whisper of Parseltongue that makes the locket writhe in response. Tick-tock, little serpent, the chamber awaits, if you dare. The locket suddenly constricts around your wrist, its engraved runes pulsing crimson before loosening again, a silent, taunting countdown. Your fingers close around the locket, its serpentine engravings biting cold against your skin. But you don't flinch. Instead, you smile. If Tom Riddle wants to play games, you'll play to win. Sweeping from the Great Hall, you weave through the corridors until you reach the abandoned arithmancy classroom, where the air hums with residual calculation spells. From your bag, you withdraw a vial of enchanted ink that shifts colors with intent and a single sheet of parchment that never tears. With deliberate strokes, you pen your reply, not in words, but in runes. Old ones. The kind that twist meaning depending on who reads them. To anyone else, it would appear as a simple Valentine's poem. To Tom, it'll be a riddle wrapped in a challenge. Seek what you desire in the mirror's gaze, where shadows dance but never stay. Bring me its name, and I'll consider your claim. You roll the parchment tightly and tie it with a strand of your own hair, with a subtle sticking charm. You charm a suit of armor near the dungeons to extend its gauntlet, offering your gift to the next person who passes. Of course, you know exactly who that will be. The locket around your wrist trembles, as if sensing the trap within your words. After all, the mirror referenced isn't Erist. It's the one hidden in the come-and-go room, which shows not desires, but truths. And Tom Riddle hates truths. By midnight, the parchment finds its way into his hands. The castle braces for his reaction. The enchanted parchment smokes faintly in Tom's grasp, his knuckles whitening as the runes rearrange themselves mockingly under his touch. He reads your lines once, twice, then lets out a slow, measured breath that frosts the dungeon air. Clever, he murmurs, but his voice is laced with a dangerous thrill. Oh, you're infuriatingly clever. With a flick of his wand, the parchment ignites. Yet instead of striding off in rage, he pauses, tilts his head, and then laughs. It's a sound that echoes off the stone walls like a challenge accepted. By dawn, a single rose appears on your nightstand, black as cursed ink, its stem wrapped in silver thorns. Nestled among its petals is a shard of broken mirror, reflecting not your face, but a fleeting glimpse of his eyes blazing with something fiercer than fury. Attached, a note in jagged script. I always keep what's mine. The game has escalated. The castle itself seems to lean in, watching. The black rose thorns glint as you lift it, its petals shimmering with a faint, malevolent pulse, like a heartbeat. Around you, the dormitory falls unnaturally silent, even the distant chatter of other Slytherins muffled as if the flower itself swallows sound. You could crush it. Let it rot. But then, what fun would that be? Instead, you weave the stem into your hair, the silver thorns threading through your dark locks without drawing blood, as if they recognize your claim. The shard of mirror you pocket, its surface flashing with fragmented glimpses of Tom's silhouette pacing somewhere distant, restless. When you stride into the Great Hall at breakfast, the rose's shadow elongates across the floor, stretching toward the Slytherin table, where Tom sits, waiting. His gaze snaps to yours, and for a breath the hall's chatter dims. He doesn't smile, doesn't speak, but his fingers tighten around his goblet, the metal denting under his grip. Well, he murmurs, voice carrying only to you despite the distance, aren't you full of surprises? His lips quirk, but his eyes burn with a promise. This isn't over. The game continues. The stakes? Higher than ever. Tom rises from the Slytherin table, his chair scraping loud enough to make Flitwick jump at the staff table. But his movement is slow, deliberate, as though savouring every step toward you. Wearing my favour now? His voice is silk over steel. How possessive of you. He reaches out, not for the rose, but to tuck an imaginary strand of hair behind your ear, his fingers lingering near the thorns. Around you, students lean in or look away, torn between fascination and fear. Then his hand drops, his smile sharpens. Meet me at midnight, the come-and-go room, unless you're frightened of what truths we might uncover. The challenge hangs between you, not a request, but a test. One the entire Great Hall has now witnessed. The rose's petals drip something dark onto your shoulder. Neither of you acknowledge it, Your fingers twitch toward the silver thorns woven into your hair, not to remove them, but to adjust their angle with deliberate precision, ensuring every candlelit flicker catches their deadly gleam. Without breaking Tom's gaze, you move to stand behind his empty chair and pluck his untouched goblet of pumpkin juice from the table and take a slow sip, leaving the imprint of your lips on the rim. Midnight. You echo his earlier words with a tilt of your head, voice feather-light but edged like the rose thorns. How predictable. The Slytherins nearest you freeze mid-bite, sausages slipping from their forks. Even the portraits on the walls lean out of their frames to gawk. Try noon, you continue, tracing the goblet's rim with a fingertip. The clock tower courtyard. Bring me something that hasn't been stolen from a corpse. A muscle jumps in Tom's jaw. Behind him, Abraxas Malfoy chokes on his pumpkin juice. And if I refuse? You smile, flicking the goblet so it spins between you. A taunt, a challenge, a game. Then I'll know you're not half as clever as you think you are. The silence is absolute. The rose in your hair exhales something between a sigh and a hiss. His laugh, when it comes, is low and delighted. Noon, he agrees, then leans in, close enough that his breath stirs the petals near your cheek. Wear the locket, or I'll put it on you myself. He strides away, robes swirling, leaving you with the goblet, the rose, and the weight of every staring eye in the hall. The game, it seems, is far from over. The whispers in the great hall erupt like a spell, backfiring as Tom's robes disappear through the arched doorway. You can practically hear the gossip spreading, how you stood toe-to-toe with the heir of Slytherin and didn't flinch. The rose in your hair pulses warmer, as if approving. As you turn back to your breakfast, you notice something gleaming beneath your plate. A silver serpent hairpin, not cursed, but vibrating with barely contained magic. Its emerald eyes seem to track your every movement. Tom Riddle's voice slithers into your mind, clear as if he stood beside you. A token for my token. Wear it at noon, if you dare. The hairpin's tail curls eagerly around your fingers. Your pumpkin juice has mysteriously transformed into something darker, swirling with what looks like liquid obsidian. Tom's magic restless, even when he's not present. Without hesitation, you tip the goblet over, letting the dark liquid spill across the table in an inky tide. But instead of spreading, it coils upward like smoke, forming words that hover just above the wood. You'll drink it, eventually. You smirk and vanish the mess with a flick of your wand. The Slytherins nearby flinch at the casual power. As for the hairpin, you pluck the rose from your hair and stab the stem through the serpent's open jaws, pinning it to the table like a trophy. It writhes for a moment before going still, but its emerald eyes glow brighter, watching, waiting. Tom Riddle's voice slithers from the walls, the stones themselves vibrating with his amusement. Cruel little thing. Noon can't come soon enough. The pinned serpent suddenly dissolves into smoke, reforming as a delicate silver choker around your throat, its tail tightening just enough to remind you of its presence before loosening into an elegant, mocking embrace. The clock tower bell tolls once. A promise. A threat. The silver choker constricts for just a heartbeat. Not enough to harm, but enough to make your pulse jump against its cool metal. As the last echo of the clock tower bell fades, the enchanted candles overhead gutter out one by one, plunging the great hall into momentary darkness. When the light returns, every Slytherin at your table has their goblet filled with that same obsidian liquid, their expressions ranging from wary to fascinated. A first year reaches for theirs hesitantly, and the liquid rears up like a striking viper before collapsing back into the cup, harmless. From the shadows near the entrance, Tom's low chuckle rolls through the hall like distant thunder. He doesn't step forward, doesn't need to. His magic lingers in the air like static before a storm. Tom Riddle's voice, whisper soft, yet carrying to every corner of the room. Tick-tock. The choker around your throat thrums in time with your heartbeat, counting down the hours until noon. Your fingers rise to trace the serpentine choker, its cool metal pulsing in time with your heartbeat like a living thing. The entire great hall watches, breath held, as you whisper a single word in parcel tongue. Mine. The choker shudders violently before its emerald eyes darken to match your own Slytherin green, its loyalty reforged in an instant. Around you, obsidian goblets explode into harmless showers of black rose petals that rain down upon the Slytherin table. From the doorway, Tom goes rigid. His knuckles whiten around his wand, not in anger, but in something dangerously close to awe. Parseltongue, he breathes, stepping forward at last. You never told me. The admission hangs between you, precious, volatile. Tom Riddle has just been outplayed at his own game, and the realization makes his eyes gleam like cursed treasure. Noon, he says softly, but the word is a vow. And now, I'll bring you something worthy. As he turns to leave, the choker's tail flicks against your collarbone. Twice. In silent approval. The game has changed forever. The clock tower's shadow creeps toward noon as whispers snake through the halls. Students duck into alcoves to trade rumors about the duel of wits between Slytherin's most dangerous heir and the witch who refuses to kneel. Even Peeves floats silent for once, clutching a stolen vial of your discarded obsidian liquid like it might explode. At 11:57, you enter the clock tower courtyard to find it transformed. The stone benches have reshaped into thrones of coiled serpents, and the central fountain now runs with liquid silver that forms shifting words in its basin. What is yours shall be mine. Tom stands with his back to you, tossing a dagger of cursed moonlight between his hands. At your approach, he doesn't turn, but the dagger freezes mid-air. Tell me, he murmurs, did you enjoy stealing my magic? His voice holds no anger, only dark, dizzying curiosity. The choker at your throat thrums in agreement. The clock strikes 12. His gift, whatever nightmare treasure he's brought, glints from his pocket. The game is no longer a game. The courtyard air hums with tension as you step forward, not toward the dagger, not toward the fountain, but directly into Tom's space, close enough to see the faint pulse at his throat where his own choker should rest. Your fingers brush his collar, and he goes preternaturally still, his breath catching just once before he schools it back to icy control. You withdraw the locked box from your sleeve, the one wrapped in thorns, and press it into his palm. Open it, you murmur, and you'll learn what fear looks like when it's given freely. The box trembles in his grip, not from magic, but from the weight of what it represents. A choice, a surrender. A gift he cannot steal, only earn. For the first time, Tom Riddle hesitates. His laugh is ragged at the edges. You terrify me, he admits, and it sounds like worship. The courtyard stones crack beneath your feet in response, the castle itself shuddering at the confession. Somewhere distant, the Whomping Willow uproots itself in protest. Tom's fingers tighten around the thorn-wrapped box, his pale knuckles pressing against the cruel points until dark beads of blood well up. Yet his gaze never wavers from yours. The courtyard falls unnaturally silent, even the silver fountain freezing mid-flow as he leans in. I could kill you for this, he whispers. But his free hand rises to cradle the back of your neck, possessive and tender all at once. Or I could keep you. The box springs open in his palm, revealing not fear, but a single shard of the mirror from the come-and-go room, reflecting not his face, nor yours, but the two of you together, your fingers laced through his blood-stained ones. The chokers snap tight for one breathtaking second, a vow, a claiming, before melting away into matching silver bracelets, their serpentine forms now coiled around both your wrists. Tom exhales sharply, his composure fracturing at last. You win, he concedes, pressing his forehead to yours. But so do I. And as the clock tower bell fades into afternoon stillness, the game ends. You thread your hand through his hair, the other fists in his robes, as you close what little distance there is between you, and kiss him. Tom makes a sound against your mouth, half snarl, half surrender, as his hands lock around your waist, dragging you flush against him. The courtyard stones crack beneath your feet, magic roaring up around you both in a cyclone of wind and wild, untamed power. His fingers tangle in your hair, tilting your head back to deepen the kiss, with a hunger that borders on violence or devotion. It's impossible to tell the difference anymore. The obsidian fountain explodes in a shower of liquid silver, the droplets hanging suspended mid-air like 1,000 tiny mirrors reflecting the same image, you and him, tangled, inseparable, while the serpent bracelets coil tighter, binding your wrists together in a glinting embrace. Mine, he gasps against your lips, voice ragged, and for once, you don't argue. The castle itself seems to exhale as Tom's magic settles, not tamed, but chosen. The shattered fountain reforms itself into an archway of entwined serpents, their silver bodies now bearing both your initials. They'll try to separate us, he murmurs against your temple, fingers tracing the binding marks the bracelets have left on your skin, faint, glowing, permanent. The headmaster, the ministry, every insignificant soul who fears what we could become. His smile is all teeth as he lifts his hand, revealing his palm, where your thorn gift once bled him. The wound has healed into a scar that mirrors the shape of your lips. Let them try. The forbidden forest burns silver green that night. By morning, the centaurs speak of a new constellation in the sky, two serpents circling each other for eternity.